Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, January 27th. Well, yesterday's light wintry mix in the Mid-Atlantic region has pushed off to the north and east. Now we'll look ahead to a late week Arctic cold blast that will impact the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. from late Thursday into Friday and well into the upcoming weekend. Some of the coldest air of the season so far for this part of the nation during the late week and into the upcoming weekend. And then we'll have to deal with a winter storm threat probably in the later Sunday, Monday, perhaps as late as early Tuesday time frame. Again, that's late Sunday into early Tuesday for the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll go over the possibilities for the upcoming winter storm threat over the next few minutes. We're starting off here with a interesting look at the satellite imagery loop off the west coast of the U.S. This is a particular band called the Day Cloud Phase Band, and gives us a good way to look at circulation patterns in the lower middle part of the atmosphere. And indeed, right here you can see a circulation, a rotation of the clouds. This is the origins of the winter storm threat for the Mid-Atlantic region for the early part of next week. This is a storm system that will slide south and east down the California coastline and give the coastal California significant rain, and inland California some heavy snowfall over the next couple of days. Places like the Sierra Nevada mountains in eastern California, for example, will get some more tremendous snowfall over the next couple of days. This is the west coast of Oregon right here, northern California again. This will slide south and east over the next couple of days and then cross the country over the upcoming weekend and poses a threat for a winter storm in the Mid-Atlantic region later Sunday, Monday, perhaps as late as early Tuesday of next week. Well, I thought I'd use a blank U.S. map here to kind of outline what I expect to happen in the early part of next week. We have a kind of an interesting pattern, still many questions that will have to be answered over the next couple of days that will dictate how much snow could fall in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. First of all, we'll have low pressure that will drop south and east along the California coastline over the next couple of days and then start rounding the bend, and it'll cross the central plains early in the upcoming weekend and ultimately end up over the Ohio Valley by Sunday night time frame. It's at this point in time that this system will tend to slow down and weaken, transfer its energy to a developing storm over the Mid-Atlantic coastline, probably the Carolina coastline. The timing of this transfer of energy will be critical in terms of how much snow could fall in the D.C., Philadelphia, maybe New York City corridor. The intensity and ultimate track of this particular system will be critical as well. It could turn north up the coast, or it could turn to the north and east and go farther out to sea. But this is the kind of scenario I expect: an initial wave of low pressure to the Ohio Valley, and then a secondary system will form off the Mid-Atlantic coastline by the early part of next week. And the timing of all of this and the magnitude, the intensity level of that coastal storm all will play a role in how much snow could fall. There certainly is potential for accumulating snow later Sunday into Monday, perhaps as late as Tuesday. And there could be rain mixed in as well with this upcoming winter storm threat early next week. Well, let's now walk through the 500 millibar vorticity forecast maps from last night's operational run of the GFS at 0Z. We do have a strong wave of energy right now as we begin the day here at midweek. That is going to form a strong storm off the Carolina coastline on Thursday. Several days ago it looked like that could push a little farther north into the Mid-Atlantic region, but it looks like its precipitation shield does stay just to the south and east of D.C. and well to the south and east of Philadelphia and New York City. It will, however, contribute to very, very strong winds that will form later tomorrow and tomorrow night, and all that will help to usher in an Arctic air mass for late Thursday into the upcoming weekend. Let's move forward here, and you see its northern extent is quite limited. It actually reaches the Tennessee Valley and then starts to kind of push back down to the east-southeast, and again this will form a strong storm off the Carolina coastline. Maybe some decent snowfall in the higher elevations of southwestern Virginia, northern North Carolina, And again, a tightening pressure gradient on Thursday will cause an increase in winds in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, up to 30, perhaps 40 mile per hour wind gusts by late tomorrow night, and even into the day on Friday. This upper level system here is associated with that Arctic air mass that will drop to the south and east and impact the mid-Atlantic, the northeast U.S., with some of the coldest air so far this season later this week into the upcoming weekend. Let's keep moving forward. Here we are by Friday morning. An Arctic blast, this part of the nation, the teens for lows by early Friday morning in many suburban locations along the I-95 corridor. And look out west. This is the system we just saw in satellite imagery by Friday morning, causing heavy rain in coastal California, heavy snows in the inland California, dives to the south and east, and then starts cutting across the central part of the nation by Saturday morning. Here it is, the main wave that will be focused in on over the next several days here. Very cold air residing over the northeast part of the nation as we begin the upcoming weekend. This initial upper level trough then heads to the Ohio Valley. Here we are by Sunday morning. Here it is, probably low pressure over Indiana and Ohio. Snow could actually push into the mid-Atlantic region at this particular time. But then we move forward and notice this little energy down, rotating around the base of that trough over the Ohio Valley Sunday afternoon. It is that area of energy that slides to the south. This initial storm system will start to weaken, and its northern extent has been reached by this time. It won't go any farther north than Indiana and Ohio, but this is the area that will help to form a storm right off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Here it goes by early Monday morning. Expect to see a secondary low pressure area at this time, probably off the Carolina coastline. And again, the timing of the transfer of energy, the timing between the weakening of this system and the strengthening of this system will play a big role in how much snow could fall in the I-95 corridor region. And again, rain could be a factor as well. But let's move forward here. By this time, we'll have a storm system off the Mid-Atlantic coastline. And notice there's other pieces of energy rotating around. Once this storm forms, it will tend to be a slow mover. It kind of runs into a blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere. And the effect of this particular storm system could begin in the Mid-Atlantic region on Sunday, and it could extend all the way through Monday into the early part of Tuesday. Another thing we'll closely monitor over the next few days. But here it is by the time we get to Monday evening and then into Tuesday morning. Still, the deep upper level trough at this time sitting over the Mid-Atlantic northeastern part of the nation, and that is how it looks for the early week winter storm threat. Notice yet another significant wave of energy moving into the western U.S. by the middle part of next week. Now it looks like by the time that reaches the eastern U.S. we'll have warmed up some, so don't expect that at this time to be a snow threat, but certainly we'll have to continue to closely monitor the winter storm threat for later Sunday into Tuesday. Well, let's wrap up by looking at the surface forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS at 0Z. Relatively dry day, but kind of breezy and chilly today in the Mid-Atlantic region. Here's a lot of moisture starting to coalesce, and it results in a strong storm by the Carolina coastline by early tomorrow. We saw that wave of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere that stays to the south and east of the Mid-Atlantic region, but it helps to intensify a strong storm by early tomorrow off the Carolina coastline. Look at this snowfall. Southern West Virginia, southwestern Virginia, the higher elevations of North Carolina could have some several inches of snow from this particular storm system as it stays south and east of the I-95 corridor region, but from D.C. to New York City. But look at this tight pressure gradient here between this intensifying low just off the Carolina coastline and an approaching Arctic high pressure system over the south central part of Canada. 1042 millibar high on its way. This pressure gradient will intensify or tighten during the day on Thursday, leading to an increase in north to northwest winds in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Could gust past 40 miles per hour late tomorrow night into the day on Friday. At the same time, very cold Arctic air arrives. Again, the teens with a noticeable wind by Friday morning, and probably the teens on Saturday morning as well throughout suburban locations in the D.C. to New York City corridor. Let's move ahead here, and again, Arctic air in control to end the work week. This is the Friday morning forecast map. Still a blustery, cold day on Friday. In fact, the coldest day so far this winter season for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and the surrounding Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. Again, the coldest day of the winter so far. And here's our storm system out in the western U.S. Again, heavy snow out in Sierra Nevada, heavy rain along coastal sections. It loses a little bit of punch by the time it crosses the desert southwest, but then it reemerges, intensifies, gathers some more moisture over the central plains by the early mid part of Saturday. And again, looks like it'll head to the Ohio Valley by the time we get into the latter part of the weekend. And snow could very well break out on Sunday. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Let's go ahead a little bit into the Philadelphia, New York City area later Sunday. Here's that initial wave of low pressure, but notice some heavier precipitation starting to formulate here eastern North Carolina later Sunday. And this is the area that will become a secondary low pressure system just off the Carolina coastline. This initial wave will tend to weaken, snow continuing ahead of it late Sunday night across the Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Could change over to rain at this time, D.C., but those details have to be ironed out. And then by the time we get into the late Sunday night, early Monday, this coastal storm system will take over. And depending on exactly where it sits and the magnitude of it will dictate how much snow could fall, especially north of the Mason-Dixon line. And again, it looks like it'll be a slow mover. It kind of rotates around here during the day on Monday, and it could have an impact all the way into early Tuesday due to a blocking pattern in the upper part of the atmosphere. So a winter storm threat for the Mid-Atlantic region looks like it's on the table right now for later Sunday into Monday, perhaps into Tuesday. Could be accumulating snow, rain could be a factor as well, and all that follows an Arctic cold blast for late Thursday, Friday into the upcoming weekend. So stay tuned to PerspectaWeather.com. It'll be an interesting time period over the next few days as we iron out the details. That's it for now for PerspectaWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.